Hey guys, 1 second, totally unplanned. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. That's what I was going to get my phone. Give me 1 second. So, hi everybody. I'm going to wait for people to come in the room. I'm hoping people come in the room. I don't even know. This was not planned. I feel like, oh no, that's not the right name either. Damn it. Can I change this title? Shit. Stream details. Let's change the title. Full moon in Cancer. Greetings. Next. Close. All right. Hopefully that changes it, but if not, it looks a little bit whatever. Anyways, I'm doing full moon in Cancer readings tonight because it is a full moon in Cancer, and my classes are a little askew. And they should be during a full moon in Cancer, right? And Mercury's retrograde and Venus is retrograde. Hey, Tracy, how are you? Hey, Kylie. As one would be, right? You know, like with all of this retrograde weirdness going on. And then there's a couple other things I want to mention too. Hey, Grant, how are you, honey? We've got full moon in Cancer tonight, right? And we always feel the effects of the full moon a few days leading up to and a few days after. And me being a Pisces, I'm already an emotional bitch. Like, let's be honest, I'm already one to cry. You know, like I love a good cry. And you give me a Cancer full moon and I'm fucked, basically. So I've been pretty good today, I will say that. I've been letting it come up and just my glasses are tweaking me out as I'm looking at myself in the reflection of the camera. I've been letting it come up and then trying to let it go, being very conscious of it. So I'm going to just explain a few things. Hey, Shaka Zulu. I love it. Shaka Zulu. Nice to see you. Venus is retrograde. We have a full moon in Cancer. Venus is how we love, right? So I don't know what sign your Venus is in, but my Venus is in Pisces. Again, water sign, right? So my Venus is retrograding through Pisces, which means I'm going back through sort of love stuff, memories, where I've been hurt, where I've been harmed, why I'm not lovable, yada, yada, yada. And feeling that in a very feely sort of way, right? Because it's in Pisces for me. Check what your Venus is in. You can go to astro.com and get your free astrology chart. You may want to know what your Venus is in, and because that sign is kind of going to be some of the stuff that you might be dealing with in your love department. The thing with retrogrades is it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just an opportunity to go back and fix anything that we didn't miss the first time or the last time around, kind of thing. But the full moons are about releasing this stuff. And Cancer is like the mother, right? So she's associated with the moon and the mother and all of that. And then it's the full moon and it's a release. And then we've got Venus retrograding back into Capricorn, which is the opposite sign, which is the father, right? And my Venus is in Pisces. So Capricorn and Pisces, they sort of get along, but Capricorn wants shit like a certain way, right? Like he's the boss man. And Pisces wants to be a little bit more like wishy-washy or all over the place or whatever. And there's nothing wrong with Pisces. I love Pisces, but it can be extremely emotional. So there's that going on, right? So we're like reflecting on our love stuff. You know, how were we loved throughout our lives? Were we loved properly? Why is our love not working? What is wrong with my love? Why will nobody accept my love? I don't know what your fucking issues are, but they're up for us, right? For the next few weeks, right? While it retrogrades. So look at them. Look at them. Now is the time to look at them. And Cancer full moon is like, let's look at them. Let's release them, right? And then we've got Mercury in retrograde. Yay! We all love a good Mercury retrograde. Sometimes I do well in them and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just shut down and don't deal with anybody. And then others, you know, I do fine, right? It's shutting down and not dealing with anybody. I do fine in those too, but sometimes they really do affect me, like computer glitches, communication, shit not getting signed in time, contracts not coming through, things like that. I'm experiencing a little bit of nerves around a new job because I'm waiting for the actual formal offer to come in, but I forgot today is MLK Day, and I've got to wait 42 48 hours, business hours, right? 2 business days. So probably not going to see it until Wednesday or maybe Thursday. But I was freaking out today. And then I'm like, oh, wait, Mercury retrograde. And it is a holiday, Dan. Calm down, girl. So there was that. So Mercury also retrograding back. How we communicate. It's going to be a little wonky. So not only is our love stuff coming up and out of us, right? Or brewing around in us, but how do we communicate it? Probably in not the best, most romantic or optimum way. So there's that going on. On top of all of that, I guess, and I'm not an astrologer by any means, I'm more of a tarot reader, but tarot is somewhat connected to astrology, and I find astrology fascinating, right? I do think that, like, if the moon can affect the tides and the pull of the water and all of that, the gravitational pull, and you know how planets like Saturn has its rings and all that sort of shit, don't think that those things don't send out a vibration and that vibration doesn't affect us at a human level. I just don't believe anybody's not susceptible to it. It's a common known fact that this came up today in a group that I was in. They said, somebody said I worked in an ER, and it's a common known fact amongst all ER workers that when the moon goes full, the ER goes nuts. Like, and the freaks come out at night on a good full moon, right? We all have known that forever. So don't, people are affected by it for sure. So on top of all of that, though, now there's something going on with Pluto, which is associated with the sign of Scorpio. And Scorpio is about sex, death, and transformation, which is the third water sign of the 3 water signs, right? So we've got Jupiter's up in Pisces, too, doing Jupiter's whole thing. And that's a pretty positive thing, I think. Jupiter's a very big, expansive, wonderful, benefic planet. And Pisces is a really spiritual sign. So it should be a lot of dream big and make it happen kind of energy, right? But we've got all of this funky, emotional Venus retrograde, Cancerian full moon stuff that we might be looking at, and complicated communication with Mercury retrograde. So hold off, build those dreams, but maybe release them like in a week or two. But the sun is like conjuncting, I think, or something with Pluto, where they're in their closest position possible. And what that essentially means is Pluto is kind of coming through, and Pluto is the great transformer, right? He is the planet that rules over deep dark Scorpio. So he's kind of like the great unknown, right? And the sun is very close to him. The sun shines a light on all of it, gives power, energy, and exposure to everything. So a lot of like whatever we kept hidden within, even maybe from ourselves, could be exposed during this time, right? Because of the sun. And then on top of all of that, the nodes are shifting signs too. And so they're going out of Gemini and Sag, I believe, and going into Scorpio, Taurus. And from what I understand, they move backwards, right? So they were just in Gemini. Now they're going back to Taurus. The North Node is going to Taurus. South Node is going into Scorpio. So essentially the way that it was described to me, and I thought was very cool, is that the North Node is Taurus heading towards love. And your North Node is kind of like your soul's higher purpose, is my understanding, or sort of kind of like what you're here. And I know that my North Node is in Capricorn. But your South Node is kind of like what we need to sort of leave behind, or what we're leaving behind. And it's going into Scorpio, meaning like, again, that dark planetary shit that Pluto's going to be pulling up and dredging up and the sun's going to be shining a light on. This is the time to like start to look at it, because South Node's going to want to like have us let it go. So with a full moon, which is all about the let go, the getting let go, I thought I'd get on and I'd do a couple of readings, or for whoever that wants a reading about what do we need to let go of, or what's blocking us from letting go, or whatever. I'm gonna grab a couple of decks and switch cameras, and we'll just kind of look at some shit. We've been hearing from this card in the daily, here the yellow tiger mother. She's right here. She's actually tomorrow's card again. She showed up again in tomorrow's reading that I taped this morning. I was a little bit like dumbfounded. You can see it on Patreon if you don't believe me. But that card has shown up literally probably 7 or 8 times in the last 18 days of this month. There's definitely a message in this card about us standing in our truth. And I think that there's something about the sun shining on the darkness, the emotional stuff coming up, all of the retrogrades, everything's coming to a head. Like or I hope it's coming to a head, because who doesn't want a little head, right? I'm just kidding, guys. So let's see. Hey, Beth, how are you, dear? Cancers are like protective Italian mothers. That's true. And this can be about nurturing ourselves and all of that, but also it can be about being stuck in our emotions and lost, right? And I think that that's, can be a sort of heavy thing to carry on a full moon, right? So the idea is to help people find their way through this, right? So keep in mind that there is this opportunity here to kind of let go of whatever it is that uh, we no longer need, or that is old, outdated sort of memories, information. Like for me, okay, so just a more personal thing. I just started taking this class that I saw, and my first inkling was, oh, I want to do that, and then I was like, I don't know if I can. The school that I went to clairvoyant training years ago in San Francisco, since COVID has gone completely online. It's a great school called Psychic Horizons. And a lot of where I learned sort of how to trust my intuitive abilities was through this school. And they have an amazing meditation program, an amazing way of looking at energy and as pictures, and how the way that they describe it, it really broke it down for me, and it really changed my life, right? And so I went back there to this class recently, and it's on love and resentment. And I find it funny that it's happening during a Venus retrograde. I don't know if it was planned that way. I don't know if the teacher planned it that way, or if it's just sort of divine timing. But I thought, okay, great, I'll do this. And it's dredged up some stuff. Like this week's class on Saturday was about second chakra work. And so we sat in meditation and looked at our second chakra. And we looked at sort of like the vibration of love, and then the vibration of the vibration of love, and then we looked at the emotion of love, and how the two were different. And each student had a different experience while we were in sort of this light trance meditation of what it like sort of emanated to us. And mine was, the emotion part was a little bit sketchy. The vibration of love was very beautiful and at peace and whole and full, right? And I think that's ideally, what we all aspire to, is finding that within ourselves. Once we have that within ourselves, fuck, I think we're like rocking, right? There's no need for all of the extra, right? All of the other stuff that affects us, right? We're so caught up in, I don't know if it's the matrix, but we're so caught up in the craziness of this world. And it is very real, and it is very crazy. And I'm not trying to negate anybody's pain, sadness, strife, struggle. It's all very there and in front of us. But when we can obtain that vibration of love, I felt like it was just like free. It was like elevated above all of the craziness that you see that we're exposed to perpetually. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense, but really killer class. I'm really glad I'm taking it at this time. It dredged up some stuff for me, and I've been thinking about it and working on my second chakra the last few days, and being very conscious of my second chakra. That's where your emotions are held, and your dreams, your sensuality, your sexuality, things like that are in there. I missed the first class, which they worked on the first chakra, and so I got to go back and listen to the recording on that one. But it's been an interesting experience, and I'm hoping to, from my own personal perspective, leave behind some of the outdated notions that I have, that I've been living off of, right? These pictures or beliefs in my system that I believe that I'm unworthy, because I have for many years, due to just like the sort of life circumstances and not knowing any better, And so I'm tired of being fucking unworthy, and if I have to say that out in public on a YouTube, like, I'm ready to let that go. I'm ready to fucking like move to the next level. Okay, Cancer full moon, you got me. So Beth says, yes, the sun and Pluto are close. Literally anything is fucking possible. Pluto is the great transformer. He's like rules over Scorpio, and he's the furthest out and the furthest reaches. And him and Uranus are kind of weird. Like, they're the great sort of like, they're the weirder planets. So I could do without Pandora Tiger. Yeah, for real. Okay, so let's do one for Beth because Beth says she wants one. So let's get out a couple of decks. I'm going to let you guys choose the decks. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do the layouts. I kind of have a few ideas. Let me just make sure my cords aren't in the way. We want to do this cordless. It's kind of like braless, but different. I just feel like, I don't know, I haven't done a live in a really long time. My camera's not ready. But I thought, you know what? If there's ever a live to do, now would be the live to do it, right? Like, get out there, girl, and get her done. So if nobody tunes in, then nobody tunes in. And if anybody tunes in, great. But I just think that it's an emotional time for everyone, or it can be an emotional time for those of you. For those of you that aren't experiencing emotion, more power to you. I certainly know that I'm looking at a lot of stuff that is, heart stuff. And I've been looking at it, I think that it's all a lead up. Like when I look at, and I will shut up in a moment, but when I look at like sort of where this whole pandemic, COVID, isolation thing has put us, it's kind of set us up so that we're ready to kind of look at this love stuff, the lack of companionship or the lack of like maybe human touch. I live alone with 6 dogs, so the dogs keep me very busy, but I talk to dogs most of the day, and so I find that, oh shit, I'm really, I'm lonelier than I realize, kind of thing. And I think that that's all sort of set me up to look at some of these deeper seated stuff that needs to come up and out. So I'm working on that in this class, and I'm here to help you guys hopefully find whatever you need to find. And Tracy says she would love a reading. Okay, so I got you, Tracy. And then Mandy Smith George also says she would love a reading. So let's start there. And then I'm going to switch cameras really quick and we will get into this. Let me see here. Come on, camera switcheroo. Surface camera front, surface camera Brio. That's what I need, the Brio, the overhead. Okay, we've got our overhead, so that's working. I'm only going to be on for about maybe an hour, guys. I don't know, or maybe longer. We'll see. I don't want to burn myself out, because I haven't done a lot of lives lately. So you have your choice of 3 different decks. I might clarify, depending if I feel nosy or whatnot. But pick a deck. You can do 1, 2, or 3. Beth, when you're ready, 1, 2, or 3, dear. 3. Okay, so we're going to do the traditional Rider-Waite, which I love a straightforward deck. So let's see, what does Beth? Oh God, of course the dogs in the neighborhood are barking, so now my great protector, the French Bulldog, is going off on the hunt to figure out why everybody in the neighborhood's barking. All right, so this is the way that I feel inspired to lay them out. I don't know, we're gonna see. So we're gonna do 1 for the Cancer full moon. We're gonna do 1 for Venus retrograde. We're doing 1 for Mercury retrograde. And then we're doing 1 for like sort of the Sun Pluto conjunction. And then we're just going to look at them. That's kind of how I feel like I want to do this tonight. I don't know if that makes sense, but we'll see how it comes out. So this is the center, sort of like maybe the issue or what's at hand with this Cancer full moon for you, right? Now, when I see this is the King of Wands, obviously associated with fire, right? Sagittarius, Aries or Leo energy. What I do like about him is he's an authority. I feel like you're in charge. I know you yourself are a Cancer, but to me, this feels like if there's anything that you need to go back and look at, go back and rewrite it. Like make it your bitch, basically, is kind of the feeling that I'm getting. The King of Wands is Mr. Sort of like, I know how to make it happen. I know how to like uh, uh, Wands is that of the spirit, that level of the spirit, right? So I feel like he is sort of facing the past, right? Which would also signify a little bit of the retrogrades, but I don't feel like he's like victim in any way, right? He's a king. He's in charge. He understands how to see through, cut through the bullshit, and kind of pick the things that he wants to sort of maybe take with him into the future. So I don't necessarily see you as being rocked by this emotionally so much as it's more about you defining for you what it is that you want out of this full moon, right? How do you want to what do you want to take with you into the next cycle kind of thing, right? Where I feel like I'm more emotionally dredging stuff up. You feel good and clean to me. Like you feel in charge, large and in charge and ready to roll. It's just sort of like picking and choosing what is it that like I want to release, right? He feels very self-assured to me. There's no and he's almost like, to me, he feels like he's staring the past right right in the eye. Like, screw you, past. Come at me. Come at me, bro. All right. So let's look at your Venus retrograde card. Page of Pentacles. So this to me feels like there could be some sludge going on a little bit. The Page of Pentacles would be about learning new things. Pentacles is Earth, right? So there's a little bit of slowness. Sometimes there can be a little bit of like breadcrumbing with the Page of Pentacles, or he can be considered a bit of a breadcrumber, like he drops little hints here and there and doesn't give you the full story. But I do feel like through this Venus retrograde, you will learn some things. Pentacles is associated with Earth, and Earth, to me, Venus is associated also loosely with the sign of Taurus, which is Earth. So I feel like this is in Venus's wheelhouse. I don't feel like these two cards are like bad. Does that make sense? I feel like there's things to be learned this cycle during this Venus retrograde for you. I feel like you're taking whatever it is you learn, like how he's carrying this pentacle, you're taking it with you into the future. So there may be things that you're actually learning that are of value to you during this retrograde. And I think part of that stems from the fact that there's such a self-assuredness during this full moon. Like, we're not necessarily an emotional wreck or worried. And so therefore, during the retrograde of Venus, it looks to me like you might get a couple of gems that you actually can utilize. It may take a little while, or it might, take a little work, but there's an opportunity here to learn, to grow, and to expand through a little bit of maybe work or discernment, effort, dedication, all of those sort of things. But he's ready to carry what he's learned with him into the future. For Mercury retrograde, we have the Six of Pentacles. So again, I like that we have two Earth down here. As far as these feel grounded to me, or because they're down lower and they're retrograding through the bottom. With this is about like sort of balance being restored, money changing hands, sharing of the wealth, sharing of the sort of experience. I actually feel like this card indicating for your Mercury retrograde, it may not be a bad Mercury retrograde for you. There might actually be an even exchange of information or communication where this could be a very easy retrograde cycle for you. Because I almost feel like the balance that he brings and the sort of learning that the page can bring, although these cycles might feel like they're sort of sludgy or slow, they're not necessarily working against you, is my feeling. I don't get a bad feeling about this at all. I feel like, if anything, this earthy energy is about solid lessons for you, or solid learning for you. Does that make sense? Like, where we're establishing more balance too in how we communicate, when we communicate, what we communicate, and understanding others and their communication too through this cycle, or clearing that up at least and bringing it back into balance. Misunderstandings that would have arisen beforehand or maybe in other cycles, we're clearing that up. So I like that. Then with this Sun-Pluto conjunction thing, let's just see what's going on up here. We have the Six of Cups. So to me, this is a really beautiful card. This actually says to me that, like, maybe we might actually see what it is that we actually desire, want, and need in this cycle for you. The Six of Cups is always about family, nostalgia, warm feelings, good emotions. So I think, and I'm missing all of the comments because I'm looking at the cards. I kind of feel like it'd be interesting to know if you are feeling really emotional during this time. But it's funny, you said shuffle sounds authoritative. You must be on fire. Girl, your center card was a fire center card. So to me, I feel like this cycle for you, with these cards in representation for like what's going on planetarily, looks like, yes, there's things that you can actually ground and use moving forward through the retrogrades or post retrograde, after the retrogrades. I feel like you are looking to the past a little bit, but kind of like, to me, the King of Wands doesn't necessarily have to take anything with him into the future. He's just maybe kind of telling it where it all needs to go. And then this Six of Cups might actually, this Pluto Sun conjunction could maybe show you exactly what it is you want emotionally, or what it is you need emotionally. So to me, this feels like that sort of transformation that we were talking about, that we want to aspire to. You might actually get to see it and understand it, and maybe create it or begin to create it moving forward. That's my feeling for you. Okay? I hope that works for you. And cool, you're saying yes, it's mostly a review for me. And that's sort of what I feel like is going on. It doesn't feel like you're getting knocked around or, hey, Jen Nichols. It doesn't feel like you're getting around at all information to take with you. It might be slow to come, but they'll show up. And then you get to walk out of here kind of like with this sense of like well-being and what it is that you do want going forward. Sixes are also about harmony and balance, right? And the cups would be that water. So our emotions and all of that stuff should be, you know, feeling warm and in balance, in harmony. It is live, Nicole Beck. It is live. Emotional but solid, yeah, and that's okay. Like, you know, there's nothing wrong with having emotions as long as they're not like making us into blithering idiots. And you know, I've definitely been in that space, but I don't get that for you at all. I feel like at the end of this, you actually have a really good grasp on your emotions and what it is that you want going forward. You're welcome. So Tracy was next, I believe. Tracy, are you here still? Hey, Tracy, we're doing, yes, there's Tracy, hold on. Number one, so we're gonna do this deck. Okay. So for Tracy, for the Cancer. So this is for the Cancer full moon. Venus retrograde. So for Venus retrograde, I'm just putting the retrogrades down at the bottom because they're like sort of passing back through the sign of Capricorn. For Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde. And then for Sun Pluto conjunction. That felt fast. Yeah, the Sun Pluto conjunction feels different on the shuffle. Whoa. Like it feels really fast. Okay. Sun Pluto conjunction. It feels like there's a little extra energy on there. What was that? The Six of Cups again. When I flipped that card, it just showed up again. Interesting. Okay. So let's see your center, Tracy. This is your full moon in Cancer card. So let's see what shows up. The Star. Okay, so Star is associated with Aquarius energy, right? But to me, the Star was our midweek card in the forecast this week. And so I want to say to you that this is about remaining calm and staying in your lane this, like, let's say this entire week, right? There's a beauty to be had in this cycle of this full moon. The Star is about to me, it's my favorite card of the deck, right? And the Star is about, in my opinion, about kind of first and foremost, it's the calm after the tower, right? It's the calm after the storm, so to speak. It's that quiet knowing. It's that subtle understanding of who we are and the appreciation of that and the acceptance of that. And then sort of when I think of the Star, it's like she just sort of shines out her light, not necessarily to impress anybody, not necessarily to prove herself to anybody, just as she is, who she is in full ownership. Right? So there's a peacefulness to the Star that I love here. Now, all this blue means to me that there's a little bit of like a sort of certainty aspect to this color blue, but it could feel a little bit downtrodden for you right now. But I want you to just kind of feel your way through it, only because to me, it feels a little like sad, right? But don't let that sort of dim your light. Hang on to your light through this cycle and release the things that no longer work for you and only hold on to the things that are quietly true for you. And those things are what is so sort of like not only true, but the most beautiful aspects of you. Does that make sense? And so keep hold of that through this cycle, through this full moon, and release all the rest. Be true to yourself and don't worry about anything else. And if stuff comes up, if sadness or emotions come up, let yourself feel them and then just sort of let them fall off, right? Don't resist, don't fight. That wouldn't be the Star's energy. The Star's energy is she just sort of is, right? And she stays calm through all of it. Now for your Venus retrograde card, we have the Three of Pentacles. Interesting. So to me, this is about how do we work with others, right? And usually there's a success to collaboration with the Three of Pentacles. So we might be looking at maybe business relationships during this Venus retrograde. I don't know why I want to go in this route, but maybe I'm wrong about this. You can let me know. But if there's anything where we've been maybe wronged or not necessarily appreciated in a certain way, that might be some of the stuff that we're looking at in this retrograde cycle, and coming to terms with it and letting it go, right? So that we can have future successful collaborations with others, right? The business aspect comes from this being the Pentacles thing. So I don't know if you've had things in your careers or wherever where you've been either like sort of underappreciated or not even felt seen, that kind of a thing, or even maybe in romantic relationships too, where you're not feeling seen, or friendships where it feels unequal or imbalanced. That might be what you're working on or what you're looking at or what you're revisiting during this Venus retrograde. And if you keep this calm about you, you're actually going to be successful in learning a few things and probably having better collaborations, having visited this stuff during the retrograde, or let some of it shed off of you and let it go, right? Now, for Mercury retrograde, we have the Nine of Pentacles. So where is it? And I'm just going to say that I feel like these two are a little bit connected. The Nine of Pentacles to me would be all about independence, right? But when it's Mercury retrograde, I get a sense that like, why are we not communicating this independence, and why are we feeling like we're maybe not have been seen in certain friendships, relationships, or business aspects, right? If there's areas in our life, in our love, right, where we expect a certain response back or reciprocation, and we're not quite getting it, it's almost like, are we able to communicate it? And I feel like this is what wants to be after this retrograde, is this ability to be our sole provider, like to be in charge, large and in charge. She is the star, right? But she's kind of more like, the star to me sits behind this lady, right? She quietly knows, I got my shit together. And I'm not saying you don't have your shit together. It's just sort of like, I feel like, is there a place where maybe you're not feeling like you're being seen, heard? Because this would be more the communication end of thing, and this is more of the heart end of things, right? Where maybe being not reciprocated hurt. Here it's like, you know you're worthy, but what is it that we're not communicating to show that worthiness, to show that, like, how do we bring these two together so that when we move forward in the truth of this star, right, we're able to maintain this independence and have successful collaboration in future relationships. We're able to express after this retrograde exactly who we are, what we need, what we can provide for ourselves. We don't need anybody else. That's the Nine of Pentacles. She doesn't need anybody to provide anything for her, right? So I feel like that might be some of the work that you're doing this cycle. And it's all good work. And again, it's interesting that we have two pentacles down here, guys, similar to the previous reading. So maybe the things that we're working on during this period are actually going to affect our physical existence. You know, what we manifest in our day-to-day reality through the work that we do during this retrograde cycle. That is Sun conjunct Pluto is the 10 of Cups. So this is like the happily ever after part, right? So to me, it's kind of like, what does Tracy need to be happy? What does Tracy, where are the areas that Tracy needs to shed the light on to transform the things that are blocking her from having her happiness? And I think that all of this stems back to the truth that's in this star, right? The quiet, subtle, subconscious, little voice of this light right here that you need to be listening to instead of everybody sort of else. Because there is a lot of success in these cards. These are really beautiful cards, but I kind of get this feeling that these cards are what is going to happen once you've looked at where areas where you don't have these things. Does that make sense to you? I don't know if that makes sense, Tracy. You're not seeing any comments, Nicole? You might be. I'm not sure where you're coming in from, where you're watching from, Nicole. Because I'm broadcasting maybe to a couple of different groups. That might be why you're not seeing the comments. You're welcome, Tracy. So this too is also a very beneficial time for you, I think, in the end. But it's like we get to define or further clarify, how do we want our collaborations to be moving forward, and how do we want to be noticed or revered? And then how do we go about getting everything it is that we've ever really sort of emotionally wanted in the end? So make it happen, girl, and let me know all about it and how you did it. Okay. Who was next? I can't remember who the third one was. There was somebody else. Mandy Smith George. Are you still here, Mandy? Yes. Okay, perfect. 1, 2, or 3, Mandy? 2, please. Okay. Cancer. For the Venus retrograde. For Mercury retrograde. And for Sun conjunct Pluto. All right, so for your Cancer full moon card, we have the Five of Pentacles. So this to me could be a little bit of a trying full moon for you. Let's just say that. There's a lot of setback in the Five of Pentacles, right? So we might be reviewing a lot of places where we've maybe been wronged in our day-to-day world, losses, right? There might be a little bit of that coming up for you. I don't know what your sign is, Mandy, like your actual astrological sign, but if it is, if you are feeling like you're doing a little bit of a review of areas where there's lack or loss, that's kind of why this is showing up for you. I think that there's probably a reason for that. It's not necessarily a bad card to have here. Just try not to get like overwhelmed. This would be a time to let go of the focus on some of these things so that you can maybe let in more abundance or opportunities for things to change for you, right? If there's been times where there's been worry about you and your family or the well-being or like of your money and things like that in the past, struggles, stuff like that, if you keep measuring by those things that might be outdated, the Cancerian full moon may want you to let that shit go, right? So that might be up for you right now, and that could prove a little bit trying. So just know that as you do this review, letting those things go, past woes, struggles, strife, just leave it in the past. We don't have to take it with us, right? That's what a full moon is about, is releasing all of that. Now, for your Venus retrograde card, we have the Ten of Pentacles. Interesting. The first thing that comes to my mind when I think about this is I want to feel like, where were you taken advantage of? To me, the Ten of Pentacles is about providing for everybody you love. I don't know why, but I feel like when I flip this card, I'm like, oh, wow, was she like stiffed in a divorce? I don't even know if that's right, but like, I just sort of feel like this feels like everything was maybe slid out from under you uh, in a love situation. This card is a very positive card, but I feel like because we're retrograding through Venus, I get this feeling, I don't know, the first thing that hit me was like, whoa, she got taken to the cleaners in a relationship of some sort. Is that true? Can you just give me a yes or no? Is that accurate or is that not accurate? It is accurate. Spot on, you're saying? Okay, thank you. So we're working on that right now during this retrograde. We're working on getting that out. Like, to me, what I'm feeling that these cards are telling me is they're telling me what the opposite positive, if it wasn't retrograde, would be going on, right? Which would be the Ten of Pentacles. This shows me sort of like, okay, we're reflecting on how much was taken from us during this time. and how much that may have hurt us, right? But we want to review it. We don't want to hide from it. Retrograde is a time for review, reflection, re-examination, and sort of maybe finding acceptance, forgiveness, whatever it is that we need so that we can sort of free ourselves from it, and then maybe ultimately have this Ten of Pentacles back in our life again in some other format or way, right? Jen Nichols, you can be next, dear. The next one is your Mercury Retrograde card. Let's see what that is. So we have the Artist. This is an interesting card because this is not a traditional card in the deck. It's actually included in this deck as a special card. And to me, when I see this as Mercury Retrograde, first off, I want you guys to see what's on his feet. He's got the little wings. And I think that's, isn't that Mercury? Like he has winged feet? Is it the Greek god Mercury that has the winged feet? Somebody please type into the chat. Somebody has or is it Hermes? But I think he's associated with the planet of Mercury. But anyways, so that's very interesting to me. Like to me, and this is also a major arcana card. So to me, this feels like this is going to be a significant and important Mercury retrograde for you on how to communicate what it is you want to be or how it is you want things to be right now. And right now is a period where you need to begin to sort of dream, because to me, the Artist is about, like, see how he's looking through this window and he's sort of creating his world. Right? He has the ability to sort of create it now. So as we sort of look at where we've taken big losses in maybe love or in relationships in our heart, where we feel like the rug has been slipped out from underneath us, we want to release those things and also understand that I feel like this is more, Mercury's an intellectual, like, you know, it's how we communicate. So to me, it's more of an intellectual thing. And when I look at this Artist card, to me, it's about thinking about, okay, where do we want to be? How do we want it to look? And starting to dream again, starting to believe that we can create ourselves this abundance that we maybe lost in the past. We can give it to ourselves. And the Artist has like this full expansive experience. We don't have to express this to anyone other than ourselves right now during this retrograde, but now it's kind of like lay low and plan. Don't get so caught up in the mishaps of this Mercury retrograde. Begin to start to figure out how to better communicate where it is you want to be in your future and start to emanate that. And that could also be very much a Jupiter and Pisces aspect too, because Jupiter in Pisces right now is very kind of opportune to create stuff. So take this time to like lay low and think about where it is we want to be and think outside of the box. That would be the Artist too, right? He's like looking through a doorway into another world in a way. And so I like this because when I see this, the world that you've experienced maybe up to this point has not been maybe quite so pleasant or always worked out for you. The Artist is about to maybe make shit work out for you. So get with that, girl. And then here is the, and this is all you, right? This is all your brain, your thought, your dreams. So make them happen. And then this is your Sun conjunct Pluto card. So let's see what's going on up here. So this is the Judgment card. Now, what I am going to say about this card is associated with the sign of Scorpio. And it's interesting to me that you have, I feel like this winged feet stuff here reminds me of Mercury. You also have a planet in your, a card that to me closely associates with Mercury by the winged feet. And then you have the Judgment card up here, which is associated with Scorpio, which is Pluto rules Scorpio. Judgment is about answering the call. Girl, why have you been hiding? Like, this is my thing. Like, I feel like the shit that you've been putting up with leading up to this point in this full moon cycle is not been fair. And you know that. And there's something deep inside of you that knows that. And I think that the Sun conjunct Pluto is going to shine some light on that. And you're going to have to step forward and take some ownership in maybe no longer allowing these things to happen to you anymore, right? And sort of rising to the call of, okay, what is it that Mandy wants? What is it that Mandy wants to create? And be outlandish, be crazy in your ideas, stuff that might seem so like not possible. The Artist and this Judgment card say to me that they actually are possible, right? But you have to be willing to like shine a light on that truth and transform that truth. And you have to live in a state of possibility rather than a state of lack. And so you have to take what you've experienced thus far and understand those hardships that you've experienced actually made you probably smarter, stronger, more resilient, and more able to now go forward and begin to create things. And you may not be able to create just yet, right? Until we get out of these retrograde cycles, but use this retrograde cycle to start to brew the ideas, right? Start to draw out the plans. And the Sun conjunct Pluto is going to shine the light on the areas where you need to like sort of see and transform them. I feel like this is a very positive aspected card because it's here in your Sun conjunct Pluto and it's so associated with Scorpio, which is Pluto, and also that north node of, the south node of is moving into the sign of Scorpio. So for you, it is about really leaving behind some of this shit. Excuse my language. Letting this past hurt go. This was a big loss to you, I feel like. It's sat in your space maybe for a little while. Like, you know what I'm talking about? I feel like you do know what I'm talking about. And it's weird because I don't know you and we're doing this online, but I can't see you, but I feel like you know what I'm talking about. This was a while ago, it feels like to me. If I'm wrong about that, you can let me know, but I feel like this was a big loss and you've carried it with you for a long time and it's time to let it go. And so let that go, answer the call, and get moving, girl. That's your reading for tonight. And you have a wonderful full moon. Be good to yourself through this entire process, okay? All right, so let's go to Miss Jen Nichols, one of my all-time favorite people. I'm so glad you showed up, Jen. A little voice inside my head was like, reach out to her today. I have a feeling she's got that Pisces Venus too. All right, we're doing 1, 2, or 3, and I think you're smart enough to know how we're doing the cards. So you tell me which deck you want, Jen. Hey, Caleb Gurley, how are you? You're very welcome, Mandy. And Mandy, if you're somebody new to me, you can go to my YouTube page. Please subscribe to my YouTube page or my business page on Facebook. Follow me. I hope to be maybe doing more of these lives. I've been kind of lacking in doing lives, but I do have a daily reading on my YouTube page that you can always tune into that's free for the collective that anybody can partake in. So I missed you too, girl. 3. Okay, we're going with 3. She likes the straightforward answer. Wait, 1? Okay. So number 1. Jen, last call. Tell me which one you want, dear. Good morning, Whitney from Western Australia. Are we doing 1, Jen? Or are we doing 3? Ooh, the suspense is killing me. 3! Oh, she's going back to 3. Watch, she's going to say 1 when I put everything away. All right, so 3. Let's see what's in store for Jen with deck number 3. All right, so we're first going for Jen Nichols and the full moon card. Cancer full moon. Your Venus retrograde. you guys hear my dog snoring in the other room? So loud. And now Mercury Retrograde. Nice clean cuts, Jen. Very definitive. I like it. And then let's see Sun conjunct Pluto. I think it's conjunct Pluto. I believe it's conjunct. They're just really close. Like scary close. All right. Let's see. All right. So now with your Cancer in full moon in Cancer card, let's see what we've got. Temperance. Oh my God. All right. So major arcana. This is very important, Jen. This is about sort of remaining calm and kind of keeping things in balance, both, you know, with this angel, it's associated with the sign of Sagittarius, right? Which is fine. That's neither here nor there. To me, this is more about keeping, there's 1 foot on the ground and 1 foot in the emotions, right? So this is about it may want to take control of you or overwhelm you, but don't allow it to. Understand that you have the strength and sort of the ability to just kind of keep an even balance and just be gentle with yourself and those around you as best you can and move through it. The messages will come, you know, how he has this sort of shining crown to me. And I love that he's, you know, depicted as an angel. We all know that you're a gentle little angel, Jen. So just be that way, you know, like just play the role of the, you know, calm, centered, like, oh, really? You don't say. And just let that get you through, girl. I think that you're going to be fine, right? I do think that I'm interested to see what the other cards are, because this leading with a major arcana card makes me wonder what's going on down here, because it seems like a very strong message of, like, you know, be good to yourself. Don't get too upset. Like, stay grounded, but also feel your emotions as you go through this. You will learn a lot. There's big gifts to be had, but you have to kind of, you know, maintain that balance as you go through this full moon. So your Mercury in retrograde. Let's look. Oh, 3 of Swords. This is why we have Temperance here, because I had a feeling that these were going to be a little bit more intense cards around you, right? So the reminder here is to keep calm and carry on, so to speak, right? 3 of Swords is about past pain, betrayal, sadness, heartache. Stuff could be coming up for you around this Venus retrograde. And there's no judgment in that, girl. Shit's coming up for me. Like, I'm in the dredges. And that's probably why I called you, like, or why my feelers were up for you today. And that might be part of your Pisces Venus and my Pisces Venus, right? Because I think we share that. We're both Pisces Venus. So we'll be feeling that at a different level, probably. And some of our stuff is maybe a little bit deeper seated, just because I think that, you know, just the general air or sign of Pisces, we have a real ability to, like, kind of take it on the chin and pretend like it doesn't bother us, but it really actually wounds us very deeply. And then we usually turn it on ourselves, or we stuff it. And so this is about unstuffing or unpacking some really old stuff. But the beauty about this is that we get to, like, maybe get back to this beautiful red heart that's here, right? And that love again. So doing this work and having the balance and the skill of this sort of angel in the center, to me, says to me that you can actually take on this heavier stuff or this darker work. Does that make sense? And so, not darker work, but you know what I mean? More emotional kind of work in a way. And this has to do with, like, your heart and your head kind of stuff, right? Now, getting more into the head part, even though Venus is the heart part, but this being a Swords card, it's like sort of your thoughts around the past and the pain that you've experienced. Let's go to Mercury and see what your Mercury in retrograde is. We've got the Seven of Pentacles. So this to me is about hard work, patience, dedication, not quite ready to harvest, right? But I kind of feel like this also feels like maybe this guy's not being seen for all of the work that he does. And then I think about, I think you have, there's Seven Pentacles here. Don't you have 6 kids and a husband? I could be wrong about that, but I think you have 6 kids and a husband, if I'm not correct. And so to me, this feels like maybe we're not feeling during this Mercury retrograde like we're being seen, like on the work that we put in or the job that we do, the hard work and the toil and the all of that is maybe going to be acknowledged during this time. That could also add to some of this, when we're already feeling this emotional drudgery coming up through the Venus retrograde, and then we're also not being, because ultimately this is a card of dedication, hard work, harvest, abundance. It's about waiting or being seen, right? But in a retrograde, it's like, these little Seven Pentacles don't understand the work that I do for them. And they're certainly, look at these little fuckers just hanging on this tree, just not ready to be harvested, you little bitches. Well, wait until the retrograde's over. So that's my feeling with this. I don't think that it's a bad thing. I just think that you've got this would say to me that this is a lot on your plate during the retrograde, right? Like what would be a normal thing for you that you normally deal with might feel like a lot of work during this retrograde, especially while you're working with whatever's going on over here. Okay. And then not being acknowledged, or maybe feeling like you're not being seen or being heard, or you know what I mean? Like I feel like if that's the case, maybe just don't talk to Nichols. Just do you. Stay in this sort of balanced temperance space, right? Now let's look at Sun conjunct Pluto and see what that card is. And we have the Five of Wands. So this is the whole lot of fuckery card, is what I call it, because these people are just up to no good. Like somebody's gonna put an eye out, right? Fives are about transition and change, so I'm not mad at that. It doesn't mean that this is going to be long. I get a feeling this isn't long lasting, but I do feel like this is about, the things that we don't necessarily like about maybe the pentacles that are around us or the people that are around us might become a little bit obvious to us. We might even be a little bit combative, or how we're combative, when we're combative might be a little bit more glaring, or when they're combative with us, that might be a little bit more glaring during this time. There's something, how do I want to say this? The transformation aspect of Pluto is at play here too. There's something that needs to be, because I feel like the combativeness and the fuckery of this Five of Wands is the light shining on it. Like you and I talk a lot of the time. So I know, and you joke a lot about like your life and everything. But to me, I feel like this is kind of like really making it real. Really kind of maybe fraying your last nerve a little bit. And so this is why we kind of got to go inward. I feel like the importance of this reading right now is not this card and not this card, but these two. If that makes any sense. Like if you can ride out, if you can stay in this balance for your own personal self, like in this own gracious space with yourself and care for yourself. Yes, I mean, I'm not saying like ditch the kids and don't take care of everybody, but if you're not being appreciated, well, step back, do you, take care of you and this right now, and let these guys and this kind of work its way out, because Mercury retrogrades will pass, and it's not that your work is not worthy. What it is it's like they just aren't seeing it or like communicating it to you at this time. So yeah, you can still tend to them, but my feeling is don't put any worth on that right now during this retrograde for the Mercury retrograde, like the way they communicate with you or whatever. it feels like the light that from the sun and the transformation is going to like show you just what a pain in the ass this pentacle. And so you may want to be like an angel and just not beat the shit out of anybody this cycle, right? I like that this is here because there's a grace to this in the center, right? There really is like a freeing, a letting go. Can we let go of the responsibility? Can we let go of the drama that kind of goes on within the dynamics of what you're used to, and then look at what's really going on within ourselves and work on that. That's my reading for you, dear. I hope that makes sense. And I still owe you a reading, by the way. So, you need to get in touch with me about that too. No 5, but my next for sure. Well, there you go. So there's something going on here where I feel like, and I gotta say this, the tending here is good. Like, it feels like you're taking better care of them than they deserve, really. And some of that might actually be shown to you during this time. You know, there might be a glaring spotlight put on some of the hijinks and the, you know, the goofiness that's going on, and you're just like, you can't deny it. So it's like, okay, well, if you all can't sort your shit out, I'm gonna go transform and take care of myself. That's my feeling. So that is your full moon in Cancer and all the planetary stuff going on. All right, I think that's it, guys. It's a little over an hour. There's only 4 viewers, so I think we're good at this point. Appreciate it. It's good to be back live. I just felt inspired to get on and do something because I was sort of like just sitting in my stuff, and I was like, okay, I need to not sit in my stuff. I need to, you know, get into other people's stuff, right? Right. So that's what I thought I would do. I'm totally shaved. Ugh, God, I look like so yuck. You're welcome, John. You're very, very welcome. Lake, yes, you can. No, totally. I didn't know you were here. I'm glad you're here. You're always such a silent, you know, viewer, Lake. Because I know are you the one that's with me every morning, like every morning at every premiere? I'm pretty sure it's you. You never say anything, but it's always like whenever I log on and I release the video, there's always one viewer, and I'm like, I bet that's Lake. I knew it was you. I've always known it was you. All right, let me go back. Let me switch cameras back really quick so you can pick a deck, okay? Give me one moment. And I appreciate you being there every morning so that I'm not just sitting there. Even though we sit there in kind of silence, that's fine. You can be painfully shy. I know it's you, and that's all that matters. So I just appreciate that you're there most mornings, and when there's like nobody there, and it's always early, and there's like, I always see that one person, and I'm like, I bet it's like. All right, so let me switch cameras really quick. Okay. All right, so we've got 1, 2, or 3, my dear. Deck 2, okay. All right, so here we go. Whoops. So full moon in Cancer. there's your full moon in Cancer. Venus retrograde. Venus retrograde. We've got Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde. And Sun conjunct Pluto. Sun conjunct Pluto. All right, so for your full moon in Cancer, we have the King of Cups. So that's actually a pretty watery card to have for a full moon in Cancer. I think that it being a king, I don't get a bad feeling about this. I feel like it could be an emotional period for you. It could be stuff coming up a little bit, but you're going to ride it out pretty well. I like that his head is facing towards the future, meaning we're moving forward. We're not stuck in the past. We're going to use like whatever it is that, you know, we release or let go of during this time. We really will let go of it. There's a compassion to him, a sweetness, a generosity, a kindness to him that you should have for yourself during this time. So I'm not like worried about you or anything. Like if I saw the Queen of Cups here, I would think that would be a little bit more emotional. This to me is a little bit more steady and available. Not to say that you won't necessarily be feeling this full moon for sure, but and its effects, but I think that ultimately it will be positive for you. And I feel like it will be there's an intention with the future, right? Like him looking to the future where we understand maybe where we're going after having gone through this cycle. Now, in the Venus retrograde space, let's see what's going on here. We have the Knight of Cups. It's interesting to me because this is a very positive card, like romantically. But this being in a Venus retrograde situation, it makes me wonder if there is either a suitor or a male that you like. What is going on here? Like, I feel like there's somebody you're thinking about, but you can't be with or you're not near. But it's interesting to me that you're coming up as the King of Cups, right? And so I don't get a bad vibe about this. I don't feel like this person hurt you or anything like that, but there's like either a distance or a separation between you at this time, and you're reflecting upon that. But I like that he is also facing the future. Like I get this feeling, this funny feeling that there might be an opportunity for you and him to reconnect down the line or come back together. Like even if you're like, say you're in a relationship and you're married, are you and your partner not seeing eye to eye right now? But there's still a love between you. That's what sort of is the feeling that I'm getting. It's like you're kind of looking back on, this is the man I fell in love with. This is the man that, where is he? Or or if there's a certain guy that you were attracted to, like where did he go? Like why? Uh, that's sort of the feeling that I get, is that's what you're reflecting on or you're looking at right now, is not what went wrong, but why are we not coming together, is the feeling, right? There, it doesn't feel like anything is blocking you either. That's the interesting thing, because we have the King of Cups and the Knight of Cups. So these two would be sort of kind of joined in a weird way. So it's interesting. I don't know what's going on with your situation. Like, let me see. Hold on, if you've commented. So much emotion. Okay. I just feel like this doesn't feel like a bad card to me during Venus retrograde. It just feels like it's like we're reflecting upon this person that we don't feel like we're getting right now, or that we're connecting with or connected to. We're wondering why they're missing or why we can't find them. That kind of a thing. So let's look at the Mercury retrograde. This is the Seven of Swords. Oh, okay. Seven of Swords is the liar, cheater, stealer card, a betrayal of some sort. Did you run away from somebody? Like, that was potentially interested in you? And you know why? Like, this feeling like, I don't know, like, this Seven of Swords to me feels like, with Mercury retrograde, right? Where did we maybe sort of lie to ourselves or betray ourselves, not tell the truth? Or I'm not saying that you're lying in any way, like, but it's like, where were we sort of dishonest with ourselves? And I feel like, did we run away from somebody that actually was interested in us, that we were interested in, and maybe we let the fear get the best of us, and so we didn't go through with it? And so we're now like trying to maybe cover our tracks, or not necessarily communicate how we truly feel, and we might actually feel a whole lot, and we don't know maybe how to communicate it successfully, and we're trying to figure that out so that these two can meet somewhere in the future and be on. Like, I feel like almost like maybe we're intimidated by him. Does that make sense to you at all, Lake? Not intimidated in a bad way, but like his love scares the shit out of us. Are you there, Lake? Hello, hello. I don't want to pull your sun in conjunct Pluto card until I get some sort of confirmation on whether or not I'm right about any of this. Makes a whole lot of sense. The man I dated before my husband. Okay. And so you might be reflecting upon him, or the missing of him, some sort of, there was some sort of deep connection to this person, is my feeling. And so you might be reflecting upon that connection. And there's some sort of lie that was, maybe not lie, but I just get this feeling that this is like your thoughts not being honest with yourself, or maybe you're not being honest with some people around you, or something to that effect. And during this Mercury retrograde, this could mean that communication could be rather complicated. Okay, so just be careful how you communicate or what you communicate, but also don't hide things from yourself during this time, right? And let's see what this is, because this is like sort of obviously the great transformer with the light being shed upon it. So what is it? The, ooh, girl, the Lovers. And do you think about this guy a little bit more often than you should? That's my feeling. The lovers sort of is like the, the light and the sun and the light being shined on something that needs to be transformed. To me, it just almost feels like this is sort of like, okay, I'm going to be honest. You and him were in sync way back when. You still think about him. You've kind of tried to maybe not tell yourself the truth about how you felt or the connection, and you've avoided it, and there's some sort of light being shined on like the magnitude of that connection, and you're not going to be able to sort of like avoid it. You're going to have to come to terms with it, or you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying like you're leaving your husband or anything like that, but it's more like this thing of like the reality of whatever this was to you and what it meant to you or how it felt or whatever that connection was, you might have to sort of come to terms with during this time. What you choose to do about it is up to you. But these are the things that you might be experiencing during this time. I hope that makes sense, Lake. Well, this will be fun. We're reflecting on, I feel like, to be honest, this feels like a one that got away reading. And we have to kind of maybe deal with that or let that go, transform it in some way, right? So that we can move forward. It all makes sense, busted. Okay, like, then I'll leave it there, dear, because this video is, out there, so I don't want anybody to, it's just interesting to me because these are very obvious cards and these two are very much in sync. But I don't think that it's a bad reading at all. I just think that it's an intense connection that you, for some reason, denied at some point. And I don't know why. And then, or what went on in the past. And you're kind of like the distorted communication that I feel like you put a wall up. Like, I feel like you ran away because you got scared of whatever this was. Okay, I hope that makes sense. All right, I am going to wrap that up. Interesting for you, my dear. But this is all, like, this is the whole point of this period, right? Is to kind of work our way through this stuff and visit it in a retrograde and let it go, like transform it and move on to like what we need to be in more present time space, so it'll all be for our own betterment in the end. That's how I kind of see it. All right, you guys, so thank you so much for tuning in. Anybody who didn't get a reading should certainly follow the business page or subscribe to my YouTube channel, and that way you get notified when I go live, and you might be able to get a reading when I do another live. And that is it for tonight, you guys. A wonderful full moon in Cancer. Feel all the feels. It's okay. If it feels a little bit overwhelming, phone a friend, call somebody you care about. Listen to them and their feels. Helps you get out of your own. And I will talk to you guys all later. You can tune in tomorrow morning for the daily forecast on the YouTube channel. And until then, I'll see you guys later. Have a great night. Bye-bye.